Today we are hearing a lot of news and scrutiny around EB1. Is it just noise on the internet or rumors that we are hearing, or is there some legitimacy to the kind of news that we are hearing?
I try to tell a lot of people, now is the time for you to figure out what are outside sources of credibility. That is what they're looking for.
Are EB1 petitions from certain nationalities or professional fields facing more rigorous reviews?
Yeah, you're going to be facing more scrutiny because they're going to see the same application land on their desk again and again and again. So it's so important to leverage unique opportunities or try to do things that distinguish yourself from everyone else.
Do you expect the priority dates for EB1 to move in October?
The reality is, we won't know until we know. So we're just letting you know that well before September, we might make it unavailable. Just letting you know, right?
Hi everyone, I'm Priya from It's Okay Yaar and welcome back to another episode. Today we have with us Nicole from the Manifest Law Firm. She is an attorney and everything about Nicole you can find in the description box. But we want to get straight into the topic today, which is what's happening with the EB1 scrutiny, what is increasing, what you should keep in mind when you're building the application. And if you're new today, It's Okay Yaar is a content platform for South Asian immigrants and we aim to educate, entertain and empower them. Nicole, welcome. Thank you so much for spending time with us. So we'll get straight into the topic just so that we can cover a lot today. I think EB1, right? It's been one of those visa categories which kind of used to be current, and then we have such a backlog for Indians who are waiting for GC that it was such a powerful way for people to find some stability in the US. Today we are hearing a lot of news and scrutiny around EB1. We want to dissect it with you with real data in terms of what you are seeing. Is it just noise on the internet or rumors that we are hearing, or is there some legitimacy to the kind of news that we are hearing? With that, my first question to you is going to be around, talk to me about what is the EB1 trend that you're seeing, and is every news around the scrutiny real or not?
For sure. So I will tell you it's two things, right? Number one is that if you take a look at the most recent statistics, you're not going to see that much of a movement on the needle when it comes to the approval rates of EB1A cases in particular for extraordinary ability visas. However, right, I will tell you anecdotally, especially in our firm, especially in the research that we have been doing, talking to other lawyers and other practitioners, we have been seeing an uptick on pushback and scrutiny in the EB1A landscape, and even for other categories like the EB1B and the EB1C, right? Now, focusing a little bit more on the extraordinary ability visa, the EB1A, the biggest area of scrutiny that I have been seeing is actually in something known as the final merits determination. I think a lot of people who are watching this particular recording and watching this particular conversation, you would be really familiar with the categorical analysis that comes with the EB1A. Do you meet 3 out of the 10 criteria that the government has laid out for extraordinary ability? What the government has recognized is that a lot of people can meet 3 criteria, right? You work for a big FANG organization, that's already one category. You earn on the top end of the private market. If you do work for a FANG company, that's 9 times out of 10 you will. You're gonna take that category, and maybe in your master's degree program, you did one really great scholarly article and it got published. Technically, that means you've met a 3rd category. But where they're deciding to push back, since so many people can meet those 3 categories, is this final merits determination concept that a lot of people forget about. It's the 2nd step review. So even if you meet 3 categories, even if you meet all 10 categories, the government tells the officer, take a step back and make a subjective judgment call. Do you genuinely believe that with these factors that are met, that this person is truly at the top of their field? Right? And that's where you're getting a lot of pushback. We've been seeing an increase in something known as a notice of intent to deny, known as a NOID, where instead of issuing the traditional RFE, they give you only about 33 days to make a response on whether or not you can rebut or counter argue the proposition that you're not somebody of extraordinary ability despite meeting the categories, right? So when I'm seeing that increased scrutiny, I try to tell a lot of people, now is the time for you to figure out what are outside sources of credibility, right? That is what they're looking for. Instead of just relying on the categories, you need to make sure that you are able to prove that other organizations, that other people are saying that you are just as extraordinary as the evidence says that you are. right? So that's where we're getting a lot of pushback, the final merits determination section.
So, is it fair to say that the extraordinary ability is getting redefined by USCIS with the new system that they have in place, or would you say that this was already in place, but there is just like more scrutiny around it?
It was already in place. Final merits as a concept has actually been around for a really long time. I just think that they're being much more heavy handed now and relying on it, right? Because they've seen a lot of challenges and a lot of counter arguments to the category analysis. What does it mean to have a scholarly article? What does it mean to have a judging opportunity, right? There's a lot of litigation there, and there's a lot of flexibility, weirdly enough, in the guidances on what those definitions are, right? However, when it comes to final merits, it's very discretionary. It's actually very hard to counter argue to the government and say, well, the officer is wrong in their opinion, right? So I think the reason why they're relying on that is because those are much harder to appeal. Can I prove it? Probably not, but it is such a subjective judgment call that I can see an AAO officer, like the Appeals Administrative Office, right, having a hard time overturning a decision because it's like, yeah, well, actually, the officer makes a good point where it doesn't feel like they're at the top of their field. It doesn't feel like there's a benefit that's coming to the United States.
Got it. So, that brings me to the next question. Are EB1 petitions from certain nationalities or professional fields facing more rigorous reviews?
I wouldn't say that there's any specific fields or like any specific kind of profiles per se, but I will tell you that if your profile looks very similar to 10 other people that you know are applying for an EB1A, right? That's where the government says, wait a second, how do I distinguish this person from everybody else, right? So if you're, let's say, a software engineer, and there's a lot of software engineers now in the United States, right? If you have the credentials that everybody else has, I'm a member of IEEE, I'm a member of AAAI, I've gotten 2 or 3 publications out there from the same publication as my best friend who is also going to be going for the EB1A, that's where I would tell a lot of people, yeah, you're going to be facing more scrutiny because they're going to see the same application land on their desk again and again and again, right? So it's so important to leverage unique opportunities or try to do things that distinguish yourself from everyone else. Maybe it's about volunteering at a nonprofit STEM initiative, right? What if you're a board advisory member to something that tries to cultivate the next generation of STEM talent, right? These are things that can really make your profile stand apart from the generic person who focuses really on their 9-to-5 role or focuses solely on just the categorical analysis that comes with the EB1A.
Got it. No, that is all super helpful. I am going to ask a question which I'm sure it's on a lot of people's mind, right? Like today, if I am someone who is going to be exploring an EB1A, of course, there are many law firms who offer like a free consultation to figure out my profile, etc. Talk to me a little bit about what that looks like from a manifest law firm standpoint. Like I come to you, how is this going to be different? What are the minimum things that I should prepare for when I'm approaching an attorney with this new checks and balance that USCIS has in place? Like how do I approach these conversations differently?
So let's start first with the approach, right? I think what any firm or any attorney would really appreciate is a spreadsheet or a document that lists everything about you, right? Don't think of it as like a CV. Like think about all of the categories and think about all of the achievements that you have or anything that you just want to like share, anything that's cool, to be honest, right? And don't feel modest, right? Organize it in a document, right? Send it to us and we're happy to take a look at it. And I really want to emphasize modesty, right? I really feel that a lot of people feel scared to like share information or scared to feel that, hey, is it stupid that this is something that I would consider to be a judging opportunity? Let us be the arbiters and let us be the ones to decide if it's relevant or not, because I do want to learn as much as possible about you. But to answer your question about what makes Manifest different, right, is that we are not a traditional law firm, right? We are a very tech-forward, data-driven, research-driven firm that really tries to leverage the best in technology, the best that is kind of out there in trends to really apply it to make the best possible case that we can, right? And how is that helpful for everyone that's kind of going through this kind of journey, especially to the United States? It really means that we try our best to dive deeply into your profile and also give you the resources to succeed. So other law firms really focus on just the provision of legal services, putting together the forms, putting together the filings. But what makes us different is we give you resources, right? We basically say, hey, we have opportunity matching programs. If there's certain opportunities that would really fit your background, right? Here are some suggestions that you should consider to kind of really elevate your credibility, right? I want to make it clear, we do mostly evidence development. We do a lot of coaching, let's say, but we're not here to build like scholarly articles for you. We're not writing them, we're not applying them. We're just telling you, hey, this is what we've seen. This seems to be working, right? If you're interested in it, this is what you really should be looking into and like investing your time into.
Yeah, I think that is super helpful, right? Because most people don't even know where to start, right? And what you spoke about modesty, I think it's such an important piece of what even we see with people. Like people do things, but they don't think it's big enough, and letting an expert be a judge is great. And then sometimes, just getting an honest opinion of the fact that, you are not ready. You probably need to start doing 1, 2, and 3 things to even have this conversation. I think something like that would be helpful, and looks like you all are thinking about that. So that's great. Before we wrap this up, it will be a huge miss if I don't ask the biggest question that's on everyone's mind, which is, do you expect the priority dates for EB1 to move in October?
I am expecting it, but I will not lie to everybody here that I'm not expecting it to jump like a year, right? I like to harken back to, I believe this happened in 2015 or 2018, where EB3 suddenly moved forward like 3 years, and it was a mistake by the government, and then we were all filing the EB3 adjustment of statuses so fast, right? I don't think something like that is going to happen. At best, I think it might move up maybe a couple months. At worst, it could only be a few weeks, right? The reality is like we won't know until we know. But as a pro tip for everyone, right? In the visa bulletin, everybody just looks at the charts, right? If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's usually like the last few listings that the government actually tells you what might be happening in the next few months, right? So at the bottom of the visa bulletin, for example, in this most recent month, they were already saying, hey guys, we're really quickly approaching the limit for EB3 visas for everybody, period, right? So we're just letting you know that well before September, we might make it unavailable, just letting you know, right? And for some reason, even some practitioners just completely missed that section, right? So if you guys want the best indicator possible, of course, everybody has modeling, people have Excel sheets, spreadsheets, and the like. At the end of the day, the government actually tries to hint it to you beforehand. So make sure to scroll all the way to the bottom of the visa bulletin to see what those hints are.
That's a pretty interesting insight that I did not know about. Probably we should do a video on decoding the visa bulletin at some point. But no, that was super helpful. Thank you so much. Anyone who is trying to build their EB1 application, check out the description box. There will be a link that you can use. You will get a discount. All of that we figured out with the Manifest Law Firm. One piece I do want to say, It's OKR doesn't offer any legal advice. We do not recommend that you go to other content creators, etc. for your immigration journey. We partner with trusted law firms, and my recommendation, if you ever DM me, will always be like, go talk to a lawyer. But to make things easy for you, we have partnered with a very select group of law firms who are offering like great services to you. So please take advantage. Everything will be in the description box. If things aren't going your way, remember it's OKR, because they will eventually turn around. With that, Nicole and Priya signing off, and see you in another video. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you so much.